Hello everyone and welcome along to your Sunday night edition of the TII podcast. My name is Craig Dett and I'm joined tonight by Ian Mitchell. We were both at the game today, sitting beside each other without even knowing we were going to be sitting beside each other. So that was a nice coincidence, but both fresh off the back of watching Rangers fall short in today's League Cup semi-final. Fair to say it was dramatic and filled with instant. Ian, but what's your overall feeling in the aftermath of the game?
Yeah, quite a lot to process and get through. There's a few things that I need to sort of call out initially. Obviously, the refereeing is going to be a big debate here. Certain calls that just those usual maybe 50-50 calls that always go the other way rather than ours. Just, again, I'm sick of it. It seems to be the same thing after every Old Firm Hampden game in particular. We just don't get these decisions that they do. But straight away, I'm going to caveat that with we weren't good enough, even when it was 11v11. I think we both said to each other a few times that we were just giving them too much time, too much respect, maybe sort of standing off them, which we all know you can't do that against Celtic. That's when they're going to dominate and score goals, and they've got decent players that will hurt you. And we just didn't really turn up. Like I say, even 11v11. There's credit there, the fact that from half-time onwards we were better. A few decent performances in amongst that, but yet again, certain players letting us down in those crunch moments, those big chances. And again, it's all well and good putting up a good fight and trying to get back into the game and then eventually doing so, but you give yourself such a mountain to climb with such daft decisions across the board. So yeah, another frustrating one, another one that we've let slip away, and another trophy that we've pretty much handed to them, again, pretty easily.
Yeah, we'll come on to talk about the refereeing side of things. We'll go through the various big incidents from the game, give our thoughts. We'll talk about the team and how it was set up, how we thought the performance was at each stage of the game. Tommy will be joining us at some point soon. He's the final leg of his journey back from Hampden. And we'll sort of pick apart how we feel after that game in terms of around the team and Danny Rule and all that stuff for going forward. But I think, Ian, probably the best place to start is with the starting lineup. I think against Hibs, we made a lot of changes. We weren't sure if that was to rest players for today's game or if it was actually a bit of a test of that formation and those particular individuals to be part of the game for today. Seemed more of about both, to be honest, but more of the latter. How did you feel when you saw the starting lineups?
I wasn't too shocked, to be fair. It was almost what I thought. I did think and did kind of want both Majowski and Gassama to start, but I did say, well, we've kind of had to do that job on McGregor the last few Old Firms, and it's worked pretty well, whether that was by Rami or Asgard, and I thought that's why Asgard was playing, so I understood it. I again didn't really understand why Cherviti would start, because he's just not the right profile to sort of ragdoll defenders and get himself too involved in the game, so I would have much preferred Majowski. But the rest of it sort of picks itself in a lot of ways. It's again, I was happy to see three at the back. I thought that was the right way to go. But the team just never started at all. Again, those first few minutes was very dominant from Celtic. They were very much in the front foot. And yeah, it was a really poor start from that team.
Yeah, we've been joined by Tommy now, who is fresh through the door from Hampden. Tommy, what's your feelings at the moment after being at the game?
I wasn't at the game today. I was dropping my daughter off there.
Oh, there you go.
You're lucky.
I was watching it from there. I was an armchair fan today. Yeah, I don't know what's been said yet. Obviously, I've missed the first 5 minutes there. So,
sorry, just give us your thoughts.
I thought probably similar to what's probably been said, because I think everybody's kind of feeling the same. But I think the kind of way that we started the game, we were a little bit, maybe a little bit naive. We were scared to press. We were sitting back a bit. I think we were too focused on being structured and organised rather than kind of having a go at them. And then obviously once they kind of got that goal that was chopped off, I think you could tell they were probably going to get the first goal. And then obviously from there the red card and then the Trusty not getting the red card are kind of big talking points from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Tommy, just on the Ian's just kind of went through his thoughts on the starting lineup and stuff like that. What I guess the approach we all, when we were in the stadium, were turned to each other after 5 minutes and went, "This is not how you approach a game against Celtic. This is not how you play against them." We all knew that Celtic weren't a good team and aren't a good team at this moment in time. We all felt, I think, that they were there to be gotten at. We know that we aren't a particularly good team at this moment in time either, but I feel like we gave them too much respect, as you say, kind of sat them, didn't get in their faces, and effectively played into their hands in that first half. It felt like it was a matter of time until they scored the first goal. I mean, the goal that was chopped off for offside was just calamitous from our perspective, but it did just feel like it was a matter of time. What did you make of that approach? And I guess from Danny Rill's perspective, he kind of prides himself, from what we've heard and what we've seen so far, on changing stuff in the game. Were you surprised he didn't change it within the game in that first half?
Yeah, because I thought, like, I'm pretty sure his comments around Hibs and playing the back three was because they were going to go with the long balls. So I did kind of think this morning we were going to go with a back four and have wingers. So I was a little bit surprised. And then obviously you could probably tell 20, 25 minutes in that it probably wasn't working. But in saying that, we did have a few chances. Obviously Chermiti had a few. Raskin was in 1-on-1 as well, so it could have been a different game if we take our chances as well. But obviously on the other side of it, I feel like they were the ones that were pressing and were aggressive, and we didn't want to kind of match that. But I was impressed by how we then changed it for the second half, and I think that's one thing that Danny Rule is really good at. But then I feel like we changed it again for extra time and got it wrong. So there's kind of like I'm a bit mixed on, I feel like the substitutions for the start of extra time were a bit weird. But yet you don't know about the conditioning of players and what kind of state they're in for coming off. But even like Rothwell maybe could have came on to have an actual natural centre mid. It was a bit weird having Tav, Mikey Moore, and I think Ant-Man sort of in the middle was a bit strange. But yeah, was really impressed with the second half, and it probably shows that if we had 11 men and we kind of started that way, we really could have got at them, because we got at them with 10 men. When we did start to be aggressive, so it just shows that it probably something that we can learn, that especially if we're going to kind of Parkhead in December, January time as well.
See if Danny Role has a Rangers-minded coach beside him. I don't think he starts that game the way he does today. Like, I know there's players in the team who have played Celtic a lot. Maybe they could have had a bit more input, but Danny Role's probably looked at that going, well, Celtic are a good team in possession. Let's just soak it up and try and hit them. But like you said, Craig, well, no, that's not how you play Celtic. Like, Hearts proved that last week. You have to be on top of them. You have to be pressing them constantly, shut down spaces, stop them building up play. We just didn't do that until it was too late. And again, that's what I mean. If you have someone beside him who knows that, like any of the fans in the stadium would have known it, I think he starts that game a little different today.
Yeah, and I think I have to agree with that. And we were able to obviously spot it pretty quickly. I think most Rangers fans will spot it pretty quickly that that wasn't the right approach. It felt like they'd put Ian, I don't know what your thoughts were on this at the game, but it felt like they tried to put Chermiti on McGregor instead of Asgard this time. Asgard had done well in terms of nullifying Callum McGregor in the game at Ibrox earlier this season, but it seemed that Yusuf Chermiti was tasked with that, and there's a lot of question marks about Yusuf Chermiti at the moment, but I don't think marking Callum McGregor at the game was really something that any of us expected them to be particularly good at. Was that a surprise for you?
Yeah, again, I said at the start, I didn't think he should have started the game, because Chermiti has a couple of good things in terms of his ability. I think he's got good control, like he's a decent first touch and things like that, but he's not going to ram any tackles. He's not going to hold the ball up very well. He's not a very clever footballer with any experience, obviously. So I think the importance of that role in stopping McGregor, and again, McGregor wasn't like exceptional today. I don't think he was as good as he has been in certain old firms. He obviously gets that second goal, but I don't think he was that good. But Chermiti just seemed a bit confused for me again. Just he doesn't know whether he should be up pressing the centre back. Should he be dropping off into McGregor, like you say? Should he be coming side to side? And again, he just doesn't seem to offer anything, whether that's on the ball or off the ball. When I saw quite a few people sort of tweeting and messaging both during and after the game about if this was some academy product that came up, you'd probably say he has to go out on loan and find his feet, see where he is, see where he lands, see how he can be at certain levels. But he's just not the guy you can rely on. Again, it proved it, as Tommy said, he's got a couple of chances during that game, and I don't think anyone thought he was going to score, let alone test the keeper, and he doesn't. And it's just, we know we're not going to have loads of chances because this team doesn't create loads of chances against anyone, let alone a team as decent as Celtic. So when you get those massive moments, the guy that you spend big money on has to take those chances for you. And again, it's just, you're seeing the farewell out posters, you're seeing all that stuff just creeping back in because he's had another bad game. But I don't think he was right to start, let alone be that guy we relied on at all today.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Tommy, I'm going to bring in this comment from Ross, formerly of this podcast, who says, I'll be honest, I think Celtic just started better than us, put us under pressure, and we looked nervous. Not sure that was on rule. Constant mistakes in our midfield and back three killed us early. Is that something you agree with, Tommy? Rather than it being our setup that did that, it was just Celtic started on the front foot and we struggled with that.
Yeah, like I said, they came with a lot of aggression today, and they were winning a lot of kind of tackles in the middle of the park. And I kind of think maybe the way that we set up would have been okay against a Brendan Rodgers Celtic, where it's like a lot more kind of like backwards and defence, passing between centre backs. But obviously the way that they were today was kind of going forward a lot more. So I don't think it worked. Maybe we did set up, and maybe the kind of scouting that we had on them was going to be more like a Brendan Rodgers Celtic. But obviously we've got one game under them with Martin O'Neill, so it's hard to kind of set up against that and know what we're going to be up against as well. And it probably would have been like that for both teams today, because we as fans had no idea how we were going to line up, and what style we're going to do. So how on earth they would kind of have that idea as well is it's one of the weird games. I do think that they were a lot better, especially in the first half. Let's say a lot more aggressive, and it kind of felt like every ball that was in the air, if we were even winning the headers, it was always going to them on the second ball, or we just never really seemed to get the break of the ball. It was kind of one of them games as well where everything was just kind of falling to them favourably as well. So yeah, I definitely think they were a lot better, especially in the first half. And then I think extra time is just legs,
On Ross's point especially, I think any old firm, it's quite cliche, but it's absolutely true. It's always won and lost in midfield. It's just whatever midfield tends to do better will win. We saw that with Raskin and Diomande have had great games against Celtic, and we've then won. I can't think of any time today where either of those two in particular, and Asgard when he was on the pitch as well, have done anything on the ball. I know Raskin broke free once and had that chance. I don't know if he kind of squares it. We're obviously the opposite end of the stadium, so it's hard to tell. But in terms of trying to get your foot in the ball, control things, dictate play a little bit, they just didn't do it at all. It's not really their game. I get that. And they are more about like pressing and trying to win the ball back. But at times you need to just put your foot on it, get a bit of possession, just calm things down even. And they just can't do that. I say this after every game that we win or lose, basically. We have to buy someone in January that can just sit in midfield and spray it about. Like it's so simple. Just keep the ball ticking along, try and dictate tempo a little bit, because we just lose so many. We lose so many turnovers and those second balls Tommy talked about because we've not got guys in there who can do that. It's so basic.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think we really are missing a Stephen Davis type player.
It's the obvious one, isn't it?
It's the obvious one, but I think we are missing not just someone, because I think we move the ball quite slowly at times. I know Danny Rule's trying to speed that up, and you can see that at moments, but I think we still move the ball really slowly at times. But also knowing when to put your foot in the ball and slow it down a wee bit as well. It can't be slow all the time, but I think there are moments when you're managing a game or you've got a tight lead or something like that where you do need to effectively control the game a bit more than we do at this moment in time. And I think probably too often at the moment our games turn into basketball games where it's end to end. And we need to try and find that control. I think we do have more control at the moment than we did under Russell Martin. I'm not sure that would be very hard, but I do feel like we do have more control and possession. of the ball. But I think just when we lose possession and have that sort of transition turnover, I think we look a bit sixes and sevens at times. And fair enough, a lot of today we did have 10 men, but it did feel like that a little bit. Tommy, the goal that we conceded, I mean, we can pass over the goal that was chopped off. It was just a calamity of errors, almost similar to, I guess, the number of errors than Kilmarnock's, the goal we scored against Kilmarnock that was chopped off, similar type of vibe. But the goal we did concede was from a corner. Celtic had been dangerous from a couple of corners already before that. We seem to be setting up full zonal marking at this moment in time, and I don't think I've ever seen zonal marking actually work. No matter what level of football it is, I don't think I've ever seen zonal marking actually work. What did you make of the goal that we conceded, and how much of a concern is that zonal marking side of it?
It was a concern in regards to kind of who scored it as well. Not really a tall guy either, you know, and not really a guy really known for scoring headed goals from corners. So, but I suppose in kind of the same way, Raskin's really good at that kind of front post run and kind of getting the first header on. It's a hard one to defend because when the ball's in the box, the angle that he's got is a lot easier to come up and win it first than it is if you're kind of standing still. So he's got a bit of a run on it, but to see who scored it, I think was disappointing as well. Like I said, if it was one of the big boys winning the header, you would say, right, fair enough. But I think the guy marking him, I think it was Makoma as well, and it just didn't really seem to be close enough to him to kind of either put him off or to kind of challenge him enough for the header. So yeah, it was definitely disappointing to concede like that.
Yeah, Iain, I think our concern was maybe that Celtic would we'd manage to play through us, I guess, as we've seen on some occasions other teams do. It's really frustrating to concede that opening goal, and we know the opening goal in these games is so important, but to concede that opening goal from a set piece.
It's just so needless. Yeah, I think it's quite obvious that obviously Danny Rowe's not had a lot of time with this team. He's going to be working on what he can in the sort of short space of training time, but it's something John Walker's tweeted about even before today, and obviously Formula Last Pod, he went on about it a lot, is the lack of set pieces that we seem to train, and that's whether it's defending them or attacking them. Because every attacking corner we have is just Tav floating the ball in, hoping for something to land on Suter or Cornelius's head. And every defensive one, like you say, it's just zonal marking. And I just don't get it because it just leaves you so open to that run. And as you guys said, it's the guy scoring is not a big guy. He's not having to do anything clever. There was a comment there, I think, from Robert, just said about how he doesn't need to move or jump to score. There's no one near him. It's just a case of a run, front post run. We've got no one in the posts. No one's tracking him. Whether it's Makoma or someone else, that ball goes in and everyone just looks at each other going, oh, whose man was that? Was that yours? I didn't. It's just not good enough. You need to want to keep clean sheets. You need to want to win the first header. And we've done it quite well in the second half. We've done it all right at Hibs as well in midweek. So I'm not saying it's always a problem, but these big games can be defined by little moments like that. It's whether it's not stopping a shot, as we saw later in the game, whether it is losing your man and he just gets that run on you. It's a very cheap corner to give away as well, if I remember right. It's such a needless moment to happen, and for being that massive in the game, yeah, it's pretty amateur.
Yeah, it did feel that way. And already once you go 1-0 down, I feel like Celtic have dominated or at least had the larger share of possession in the game. And up to that point, you're kind of looking at it going, I'm not sure how this is going to change if we keep playing the same way that we're playing at that moment in time. And then almost immediately, we're almost proven wrong because a lovely ball across the box and Yusuf Chamite is yards from goal. It may have been closer than yards from goal, but he's yards from goal and he manages to put it wide. Tommy, you might be able to speak better about this than Iain or I because we were up the other end. But everyone that I saw after that, everyone that spoke to me after that said it was an absolute sitter. Is that how you saw it?
Yeah. It seemed like he was kind of scared to attack it in a way, like maybe a bit of nerves, a bit of uncertainty about it. We'll touch on his price tag so much, and it's not his fault, is it? Like that we paid that money for him, but everybody's going on about how he's raw, but I mean, Igamani was raw and it was 1.5 million, and the output from Igamani to Chermiti was miles better. You spend £8 million on a player, you expect that to go in the back of the net, to be honest with you. I mean, and then the chance that he had as well, it feels like, I just don't feel like there's a few times a day where he went to strike the ball and it just doesn't look like he's hitting the ball right. I don't know if if it is a confidence thing. I was hoping that his goal at Kelly would have maybe got a bit of confidence on the back of that and kicked on from it. I really want to like him because it was a big outlay in the summer, so I really do want to like him, but I'm struggling. But it was a sitter in my opinion. He definitely needs to, like, if he's not scoring that, he needs to get contact on it to make the keeper have a save at it. To completely kind of miss that is just, it's unacceptable, really.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially so quickly after you go behind, you really feel like that's going to be able to get you back into the game quickly and almost put them on the back foot rather than ourselves. Then I guess the first big moment and the big talking point of the game happens, and that's the sending off of Till Asgard. I think it is a sending off. Having seen it back a couple of times at the game, and then in the first replay, I kind of thought, well, he's flicked the ball over the guy's head, he's turned and just immediately tried to control the ball, and Tony Ralston's just happened to be there. And that also felt like he'd maybe tried to pull out of the tackle a little bit, so that his studs didn't go into him, but he definitely catches him, and I don't think there's any referee that's not going to give a red card there. I was maybe a bit surprised at how quickly and dramatically that Nick Walsh brandished that red card, but I think when it's all said and done, it is a sending off. Ian, what were your thoughts on the incident?
I'm just surprised that you were surprised at how quick Nick Walsh got that out. I think you give him any chance to send off a Rangers player, he takes it. I've not seen it back a lot. I've seen a couple of replays, not really seeing it being like a stonewall red card. For me, I don't know if I've got maybe a lower threshold for what should be a red or not, but it's not as if his studs are like up and he's planted it, and it's like you see tackles sometimes, you go, he's went to do him there, and you go, fair enough, we've seen them at Ibrox over the years, it happens, but that's not what this is for me. I think he just goes to the ball and there is a coming together. Maybe it's the classic blue tinted specs kicking in here, and I'm just not seeing it being a red, but I just don't think it has to be a red. Like, I think if that's a yellow, people just move on. It's not like a massive talking point or anything. And again, for me, obviously it's a flashpoint because it happens, and you see Celtic players all up in arms and pushing Asgard straight away, all surrounding the referee, as they should do. That's something that we don't do, but I would encourage us to start doing it. But I just think Nick Walsh could absolutely have took a moment, let things settle down. If he has to go and check VAR, he has to check VAR. I just don't think it has to be a red. And that might sound a bit stupid because a red card's a red card. I get that. But I just don't think it's a blatant red card. I don't think Asgard's going to hurt him in any way. I just think the way his foot has went after he wins the ball, because I'm pretty sure he wins the ball first. Maybe I'm seeing...
I think he does win the ball, but there's also a picture on social media, I think it's on Premier Sports social media, where Ralston's shown off the stud marks on the top of his leg, and you can see, it's just like you can see all 6 of his stud marks on his leg. Okay. So I think that was the one, that was what convinced me that it was a sending off. As unlucky as he is, because he's turning around and he's not knowing that Ralston's there, but I think on reflection that it probably is a red card. Tommy,
I'll let you have that one. Yeah, I'll watch it back later. But again, it's just, if we take that part away, it's just a bit daft. Like, I don't know if Asgard could pull his foot away, and that's why I don't think it's maybe a stonewall red. I don't know where else his foot can go, but yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
Tommy, what's your thoughts on it?
I think I agree more probably with Craig in regards to it's a red, but like I think it's an annoying one because there's no malice really. It's not like Asgard's trying to. The ball's kind of in the air, and he doesn't know that Ralston's there. And I think he's just trying to pluck the ball out, and it's one of the unfortunate ones. Like I said, I think the annoying part was about what you were mentioning about Nick Walsh was so quick to get that red card out. And like I said, is that impacted by the Celtic players immediately reacting to that? Like, is that kind of in his mind when he's making the decisions? He was very quick to get the card out for that, and he was very quick to get a yellow card out for Trusty as well. It's like he gives himself no kind of, like, just a little second to kind of think about what you've just saw, which is okay to do. And I kind of always prefer refs to do that when they just blow the whistle, take a few minutes, think about what you've just saw before you make such a big decision. And again, the only time that he took his time today was giving us the penalty. It's almost as if he really doesn't want to give us it. And he's looking at his assistant and he's looking, can somebody else make this decision? But I think it's one of the ones, the red card. VAR never going to overturn that. If he gives a yellow, I don't think they overturn it either to make it a red. So it's possibly one of the ones. But I'm not overly annoyed at the decision for the red card. I'm more annoyed at the fact that the next incident.
Yeah, I think at that stage, you're thinking, right, we've not played well in any way whatsoever. We've made one chance, 2 chances at goal from at that stage, I think, because we had the point Raskin went through 1-on-1 as well. Yep. He really needs to do better. I think the theme throughout this whole game was that we actually created chances, and that I would say the better chances in a lot of cases, but we are not taking them in any way, shape, or form. We're not. We don't look confident when we go through 1-on-1. We're not convincing in the way that we finish, and I think that showed in the fact that we didn't score from open play again today. But you're looking at it saying we've had those 2 chances, but outside of that, we've not really done much. We're 1-0 down to 10 men. This is a real uphill battle from this point onwards. I think, Ian, at that point, I turned around to you and said, we just need to get to half time so they can reconfigure. Just right on the stroke of half time, Celtic had a free kick, I'm sure it was. It kind of bounces about a little bit and comes back into the box and eventually runs through to Jack Butland. Jack Butland comes sliding out, and then out of nowhere, Austin Trusty waves a leg. I haven't seen the replay. Jack Butland picks up the ball or slides out onto the ball. You then wait 1 second, you wait 2 seconds.
Yep.
And then Austin Trusty's foot and studs hit Jack Butland's face. It was bizarre at the time at the game, but having seen it back, it's even more wild that it happened, I guess. Why or how is that not a red card, Ian?
Exactly. It's in the moment, obviously I didn't see too much because live you don't really understand what's happened, but you saw the Rangers' reaction. Not quite as intense as that Celtic one for Asgard, but you saw a few players like, hang on, what's this? He's just left a foot in kind of thing. And again, I saw the replay on my phone a few minutes later, and I thought it was one of those where, as Butland's got to pick it up, Trusty's foot's gone in, and there's a little coming together. I get that can happen, but as you say, there's a proper Butland gets the ball, collects it, step, then Trusty's foot comes up in connection. Now, that's a red card. That's factual. You have gone. That's literally endangering an opponent. You're stud to the head. Like, how much more clear can you be? But it's then, as I was saying to you before we came live, the comments from Tavernier after the game when he's getting interviewed, that it was Nick Walsh basically said, yeah, he's made contact with his foot, but there's no intent, there's no malice there. If you make contact with a foot, like intentionally, onto someone's head, that's got to be a red card. Like, all the pundits were unanimously saying at halftime as well. I saw, like, it's just this inconsistency. And I've never been one for like the big conspiracy that Rangers don't get decisions and Celtic do. And I've tried to always stay away from that. But it's every single Old Firm game. If this is the exact same scenario, the opposite way, I think it's a red card. And I hate saying that because it shouldn't be that way. That's not how these games should be decided. But it's just fine margins again. Any sort of 50-50 call, whether it's I could send them off, I could book them, it always goes in their favour. Again, we saw that with Asgard, we saw it with this one. If one's a red card, the other one has to be for me. And I'm so sick of this because we're going to now have, no doubt, a week of talking about it. The Sky Sports panel talk about it Monday morning, probably admit that Rangers were hard done to. Willie Collum will do the exact same thing in his little review show thing. And it just leads to nothing. No change, no nothing. We don't get to replay the match, don't get the trophy or anything. It's just nothing at this point, and it really frustrates me as much as anything else here.
Yeah, I mean, having had a quick glance at the various different reactions across social media, across the sort of broadcast channels and stuff like that, when you've got guys like Neil Lennon saying it was a red card, when you've got guys like Packy Bonner, the most partisan Celtic fan you'll ever find, saying he's amazed that Austin Trusty got away with it because it was a stonewall red card, James McFadden saying it's a red card, it's when everyone's agreeing across the board in an Old Firm game about that it was a wrong decision. I think you're really seeing how obvious a decision it should have been. And Tommy, I think one of the things is that even if it's not an obvious decision in real time, there's still VAR to pick up. There's still VAR to catch that, and they seem to dismiss it pretty quickly. To be honest, there didn't seem to be any sort of major review. Are you amazed that it wasn't even asked to go over to the monitor and have a look?
I think that's kind of what annoys me the most, is how quickly they dismiss the incident. And sometimes you get, they're like holding, and you get maybe sometimes a bit of a 2-3 minute delay, and then sometimes they'll say, right, no, it's fine, we've cleared it. They clear it way too quickly, I think, and I'm sure at some point we'll probably get the audio out, won't we? But what Iain was touching on is if there's no malice there, and that's the reason for it not being a red, it just kind of contradicts Askar's red card. So that's why I would be curious to hear what the audio is. So how can they depict Askar's as a red but not that one? And like what Iain was saying as well, like you do see sometimes when the ball's there, keeper comes out, if you go for the ball at the same time, you can sometimes hit the head. That's fine. You see it. That's not malice, right? And that's not a red card in my opinion. But Butland's got the ball for, you could probably count 1-2 seconds, and then it's the foot to the head. So I don't see how they've not kind of took that into consideration. It's baffling, really. I've not seen anybody say that that's not a red either. Like you were saying, everybody on the panel agreed. So what's going to happen?
How do you book him as well? How do you write that down and say, yeah, he's kicked him in the head intentionally, yellow card?
Yeah.
Like,
but that's what I mean.
Doesn't make sense.
He's so quick to get the yellow out as well. Like I say, he doesn't want to give himself any thinking time. He just saw it and just straight away yellow card. Like, think about it. Do you know what I mean? That's what annoyed me about Nick Walsh today. Just not taking time to think about it. It's such a big game. You can't just make decisions in 0.5 seconds based on what you're seeing. You need to take a wee second to yourself, blow the whistle, give it a wee minute, And let's say it's a stonewall red card, and VAR should have overturned it. It's not like one of the ones like, well, Nick Walsh can justify it by saying this and that. That should have went to VAR, and he should have been at the monitor,
Yeah, Iain, it's such a huge decision at that moment in the game because Rangers were already down to 10 men, 1 goal down. Celtic, are you expecting to go on and dominate the game? They didn't in the end, but they were expecting them to go and dominate the game 11 versus 10. It's a stonewall red card. There's obviously a red card you're going to see, and it's missed. And then Austin Trusty goes on to have a performance in the second half that makes him player of the match. He won everything for them at the back. You think he won pretty much every header he could have won. Just how big a decision is that on the outcome of the game?
I think it's equally as big as the Ralston calls. And when I say calls, I'm talking about the penalty one, because again, I saw people say that it's not a yellow card anymore, like that handball in the box. And to be honest, I've lost track of what is and what isn't a yellow card or a handball with penalties these days. But it's also that one where he just sort of blocks off Gassama very intentionally. It's one of those yellow cards every day of the week. Again, we don't get it. We don't see it. Either of those two change that game completely for me, because at half time we're all saying to each other, we're a man down, we're a goal down. We know what this team can do in these scenarios. It does tend to fall on its arse quite a lot. We seem to have just done that again. I don't think we saw the comeback to get to extra time at all coming. But if we go into that 10v10, just that lift it gives the fans, gives the players that, right, we're in this. It's an even playing field. Because, like you say, even 11v10 is tough against any team, but a team like Celtic who do dominate the ball, it's going to be brutal. So disrupting that, they would have had to bring on probably another centre back, that Dane Murray guy who had a shocker against Hearts. Just all these little factors then come into it. And again, it's back to an even game, but again, we don't get the rub of the green, we don't get the 50-50s, and again, just we gave ourselves too much to do on our own. That even with the goal that we scored, I never really truly felt we were going to go on and manage to get a winner. So it's massive.
Yeah, Tommy, that's the last 2 League Cup exits, you could say, given the Cherney incident in the final last year, and then the Austin Trusty one today, that have both gone in Celtic's favour and had a massive impact on the outcome of the game. It's the club have been criticised for how quiet they've been on certain incidents and certain games. This year, I went along 2 weeks ago now, just under 2 weeks ago now, and sat in the room with Andrew Kavanagh, Patrick Stewart, and Kevin Thelwell, and one of the things that was brought up was how quiet they were in the wake of the Hearts game, which had those 3 incidents that all went against us, and the fact that this is it's not the first time it's happened. It won't be the last time it's happened. So why aren't we calling it out more publicly? Patrick Stewart spoke about the club are working hard in the background. They've got basically a mountain of data, not just on decisions based on Rangers, but on all Scottish Premiership games, on the performance of officials, on the inconsistency of decisions, the inconsistency of outcomes from referees, etc., that they're working hard with on the SFA. He did say that if the time was right, he would come out and publicly say something on instance if they had to. They absolutely have to come out after this and go both barrels towards the SFA, don't they?
Yeah, but thinking about it though, what is the solution? Do you know what I mean? If they come out, and what are we hoping to achieve out of it? What do we want from it, you know? Like, because I feel like, and like Iain touched on earlier, and we were talking about this when the refereeing lineup was announced, and let's say that it's probably bad enough that you actually look into who the refs are going to be, really, to be honest, because it just they shouldn't be the focus of any game. But that's the way that it is. You're kind of looking at who the ref's going to be. I never really want to get into conspiracies and stuff like that. I don't like to do it. And yet, in the Hearts one, I was very much adamant that we got beat. We deserved to get beat. The decisions really didn't impact it that much. Today might have been a little bit different. Like I said, I would have loved to seen how we would have went at it 10v10, especially the way that we played in the second half. But I'm a believer that the referees are just bad. It's not necessarily against Rangers. I've seen bad decisions against pretty much every club in the league. I don't know what the fix is. You know, I mean, Rangers can come out, call it out. That's all good. But what is the solution? You know, where do we go from it?
I think that's what Rangers are trying to do in the background with that data and with that analysis and with that highlighting decisions across the top level of Scottish football, not just games that involve Rangers. But Iain, to me, there comes a point where you have to defend yourself, and you can't just sit back and accept decisions like these consistently going against you. I think if they go against you every now and again, that's just part of football and move on from it. But the consistency of it is what's starting to become a really big thing. What do you make of, I guess, Tommy's kind of focused on the longer term solution, and how do you make it better overall? What do you think the club should do?
I think the club, and I mean this in like every layer of the club, need to try and do a bit more. And whether it's the dark arts in terms of the players on the pitch, you know, like I don't want to see players like surrounding the ref, but it happens and it seems to work. You know, that instant like chaos of all rushing in when a decision's made, that seems to get in the ref's head because they are poor. Like as Tommy said, it's not bad biased refereeing. It's just bad refereeing. I just don't think they're well trained. I don't think they should be part-time. I just think it's more, we need to properly invest in referees as a country. If we want better referees, it's obvious to me. But again, players could be smarter. I saw Danny Roll after it was quite adamant to not talk about the decisions too much. I think he just mentioned the yellows, but wasn't talking about Asgard, wasn't talking about the extra yellows that he could have. He was trying to kind of
I think he did
quite
speak about.
tight-lipped.
He spoke about Anthony Ralston's one, didn't he?
Yeah, but it's in terms of like going for it. Like there's levels, and he's very new to the club. He's not seen what's going on in years gone by, obviously. So I'm not expecting him to come out all guns blazing. But if he doesn't, that's what Patrick Stewart's job's got to be. Like he's the CEO. He's got to be the voice of the club. Like at least try and get some goodwill back from his part and just put out in the public. I don't get what negative could come with it. You know, if we've seen as like we're just crying, we're just moaning about something, it's valid decisions, whether it is the Hearts game, whether it's today, whether it's last season, it's constantly happening. And you know, every club gets a few bad decisions here and there. The rub of the green, as I talked about earlier, can go either way. But these big moments never go our way, and you have to just call it out. I don't see the massive positive in terms of what it's going to change. It's not going to fix the result. It's not going to replay games, nothing like that. But if you just at least make some noise about it now, it hopefully stops it happening again next season or next Old Firm, these kind of moments.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We go in at half time 1-0 down. I knew, and I think to pretty much everyone I spoke to was around, we need to change something here. We need to find a way, but we're down to 10 men. So how do we do that? How do we structure it? Is he going to go stick with the 3 at the back and go 3-4-2, which seems risky? It's not often you see teams go down to 10 men and they keep 2 up front. Other alternatives were going more to a 4-4-1 or a 4-3-2. He did stick with the 3 at the back, Tommy, and I do actually think that worked in our favour in the second half, because we kept an attacking threat, I guess, is the way that you could say it. James Tavernier looked like he moved much more centrally in midfield, which I think actually helped us. Do you think that was the right decision, and kind of what helped us improve in the second half? Because actually there was a period in the second half, maybe 15-20 minutes, where I felt like we were completely on top and completely dominating. We just couldn't find the way to get that killer touch and on a chance.
Yeah, I think like you were saying, there was a kind of a brief spell in the game where we were like that, and we were kind of forcing them to start making mistakes. They were on the ball, you know, loose passes, just not what they were getting in the first half. But it just goes to show the pressure that you put on them, and that's the result that you get. We should have known that from the start. The changes obviously did make the difference. I think the only one that really kind of struggled with it was it De Jigga kind of went more right, and I think he struggled all day today, to be honest. But I think it shows like Danny Rule, like how well he can adapt to games, and it's such a big difference to Martin, who would just stick with it and not really kind of make these micro changes in game. So I think that is one thing that Danny Rule is good at, is kind of watching a game and then kind of making the change based on that. The only issue is we don't really want to be in a position too much where we have to make the change because we're struggling. You know, we need to be able to get it right from the beginning, and then yes, any changes are just to make it better, not to, you know, make a bad situation that we're already in, you know, try and claw it back. So I think like the second half, and yet again to come away with to get it into extra time, I was surprised at that. I really couldn't see it happening, especially going into the 75th, 80th minute, and I kind of just thought they're probably going to get the second goal and just kill this game off. Our legs were kind of starting to go a bit as well, so I think to actually get it to extra time was really well. But let's say it's I think yet again the downside of it is they maybe got it wrong in extra time, so I'm a little bit mixed on it, you know, in terms of the changing, you know.
Yeah, Ian, I saw you kind of raise your eyebrows a bit when Tommy said about Nasser Jigga's performance. There was another comment from earlier on today.
Quite a few people are having a go at him. Yeah, even on Twitter. I don't really.
Well, you think it was good?
Man called D said I'd take Rob Kiernan over Jigga. At the game, I thought he did all right. There was a couple of times, particularly recovering from one end of the park to the other. He chased, was it Tineke? He chased down basically the full end of the park and.
See, for me, it's Jigga's job, right, as centre back, is to win your headers, try and do a bit of marking, and I think especially the fact Tav was bombing on, almost playing like a right winger at times before he moved centrally properly. That second half, I thought Jigga done well to kind of try and cover centre back and also cover right back at the same time, as if he was doing like the job of two men, because they just kept switching it. and whether it was Maeda or Taneka, one it was just staying so wide, which meant we had to just get right across. And I don't remember Jigga doing too much wrong. And I'm seeing comments saying I'm talking shite. Jigga's a nervous player. The ball was good. I've seen them all. But I don't think he's not the guy that's going to get on the ball and create chances or score goals.
He cannot handle a press whatsoever. That's it. That's the issue in a game like
nervous. He looks nervous on the ball. He looks uncomfortable, I think, when he's being pressed. But I
thought he struggled. I really thought he struggled.
But that's what I mean. On the ball, I don't want Jigga on the ball. So yeah, he's not great on it. He maybe needs to do more on it. But his job is just to get it and move it to someone who can do it. So I actually thought talking about defensively, it was bad.
I thought all three of our defenders struggled in different ways today. I thought Cornelius had a pretty poor game by his standards. I think John Suter was the worst of the lot. I think John
kicking in better.
Yeah. But I think Suter was awful. By the way, see the goal that got chopped off.
Yeah,
I don't know why we never switch on knowing that they will hit a quick free kick. He's looking at Butland when they take the free kick. He's not even facing the play. It really annoyed me.
Yeah, I think John Suter, the sooner he's gone, the better. The worry is that he's seen as a leader within the team, which I think means he's more likely to stay and more likely to continue playing. But I don't think we were particularly strong at the back. I think there was lots of little moments. There was nothing major that they did that you could point out as like a glaring error, I don't think, but it was just little moments, little things in their games that were just like, this isn't how we should be playing. They don't have that power and that presence that you expect from a Rangers centre half in games like that, and they didn't feel like they imposed themselves in the game. I don't know if they were worried about Celtic's pace.
That's up against as well. Like we've got the guy that scored the first goal is a very untested striker here. Like we were all talking about Schmidt, he's raw, he's unpolished, and like Majowski's not firing, Danilo's hit and miss. Their striker is came from nowhere kind of thing, and he's bagged a goal today and pretty much handled all three of those centre backs in certain moments. I thought that's where we'd have a lot more success and joy in terms of like nullifying their attacks. I know Maeda's always a threat, but last few forms he's not been up to much. He's just back for injury, so I thought with the striker they've got a midfielder here in the wing. I thought we'd do so much better handling them. And I know we didn't give them a million chances up against an extra man, of course, but they still could have killed that game pretty early. So as much as I'm saying I didn't think Jigga was like awful, as some people seem to be, I do have to say the defence overall, just like the midfield, like the attack, the whole team just wasn't up to it at all today.
Yeah, I think we looked nervy in defence today, and I would really be expecting us to impose ourselves much more on that game. But hopefully that's something that comes as Danny Rule sort of imposes his style on it. Gassama came in the second half, thought he was okay at times. He could have done more in some occasions. And others he did well, obviously hitting the shot that won the penalty. Mikey Moore came on for me, and I thought Mikey Moore was phenomenal in so many ways, especially playing in that role and getting us further up the park when we were down to 10 men and having that control. And he gave the Celtic midfield a run around quite a few times in that. But I thought the Mikey Moore I saw today was the Mikey Moore I thought we were getting, and the Mikey Moore that Tottenham fans were raving about. Iain, what did you make of it when he came on, and his influence on the game in terms of, one, the period where we dominated, but two, just helping us maintain that foothold, and I guess even in that last, we spoke about it most of the second half, and that was just get to 75 minutes and then have a go. Yep. Get to 75 minutes and then have a go and see what you get. And I felt like Mikey Moore was instrumental in that.
Yeah, Mikey Moore today was the only player, subs or starting, anyone who was brave enough to take the ball and not only take on a man, but play a sort of risky pass and try and get us up the pitch. He was taking it while the press was on him. It was turning players. He was so good. And that's him playing left centre mid kind of thing. Like he's meant to be just this winger, stays out wide and runs at his man. And he was all action. I think out with him, every other sub that came on made us noticeably weaker each time. Like I don't think Gassama was very good at all today. I know you're saying he had a couple of moments and yeah, he wins the penalty, I guess. But for what he should be doing, and we know he can do, he should score for me. That one that he's through. Again, I've not seen it back. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh on him, but he should be trying to impose himself and running at them constantly. Likewise, we saw, just trying to remind myself, we saw Ant-Man come on, didn't do anything. Majowski couldn't win a header. Rothwell's came on and basically sold a goal. Aaron's at left back. It just shows how weak the squad is, really, despite how much has been spent on all these guys. But at least Mikey Moore gave us something that there's something there to cling on to. And from where he was like 3-4 weeks ago, in terms of being written off, and everyone was saying he's never going to make it, he's never going to like be a professional footballer for us or Spurs kind of thing. He's really turned that around, and he's probably played himself into a starting position. Like it'd be really unfair for him not to get a start in the next few games because of how poor everyone else has been, but the impact that he had, albeit he didn't actually make or score a goal kind of thing.
Yeah, Tommy, we had quite a number of one-on-one chances, whether it was we also had the Chermiti one, we had Raskin running through, we had Gassama in the second half running through, and I think Liam Scales, it was a phenomenal tackle that Liam Scales made, but it was he needs to get his shot away earlier on that one. We then had Gassama through in extra time as well from that one. We created chances and good chances for us, and we took absolutely none of them. Why do you think that is?
I don't really think I can answer that, Craig, really, to be honest. It's just, you do get days like that where you get chances and you just can't seem to put it away. I don't know, like I say, it's maybe the occasion. A lot of these players haven't played on this, at Hampden, kind of in a semi-final against them, so it might be the occasion kind of thing as well. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I think Gassama could have done better with his ones. Again, I touched on the pod on, was it Wednesday night? I said, like, maybe questions need to really be asked about Gassama, and I think he did get a little bit of a pass mark with his performances in the qualifiers. But it's worthy to note that I don't think he scored the domestic goal this season.
I actually don't know where Gassama fits into our system at the moment. See, we're playing three at the back. I don't know where Gassama fits in.
He's not a wing back, is he? Like he wouldn't be able to kind of make it up and down the park, but he's kind of like a luxury kind of player, isn't it? Like, and yeah, again, I mean, Kent was kind of like a player that could drive us forward and carry the ball, and his numbers weren't brilliant, but at least you would get a few goals, assists. Let's say we're seeing Gassama, he can carry the ball and he can take players on, but we're not really getting an output from him. And maybe that is people missing chances on the back of him creating as well, like earlier on in the season. But I think to be at this stage, we're in November now, and he's not scored a league goal. And I think he's got maybe 1 assist, 2 assists, if that. It's just the numbers are pretty poor,
We're just not clinical across the board. It's as simple as that. We've not got the quality to be clinical, and it's made a lot of people say stuff like, "Oh, we shouldn't have sold Dessers, or we shouldn't have done this." Like, we should have sold Dessers. Dessers was right to go. We just have replaced him with players who are worse.
We haven't hammered a team this season, have we? We've not properly hammered a team this season.
We won't. With this start,
with this won a game, Tommy. I mean, we can't hammer people.
I know.
Yeah, that's depressing itself. We did get ourselves back into the game, and the only goal we scored with a penalty, Stonewall penalty, every day of the week. Tommy, you look like you're going to disagree with me there, but
disagree, mate.
Nick Walsh took ages to give it. Like you said earlier, Tommy, it was the only one that he actually took any time to think over. James Tavernier steps up and scores it. The question, I guess, though, again, is should Tony Ralston have seen a second yellow card? Ian, I'll come to you for that one.
Yes. No, it's. I saw there was a post. Obviously, now Bobby Madden is very keen to go on Instagram after these games and pop a post, and he's obviously got like that expert opinion. He put something out about how it's right to not be a second yellow because that rule changed a couple of years ago. Again, I'd be lying if I said I understood any sort of rule around penalties and handballs these days, but I don't, like, in a basic sense, I don't understand how the ref can say that's a deliberate handball, as in that stopped a goal, a shot, whatever, and then not book him. I don't think, let's just say if he hasn't been booked, he's 100% booked in that moment. Just like the Gassama one when he just blocks him. If he's not booked and does that, he then gets booked. He just doesn't get the second booking because, well, again, as I've touched on a couple of times, we don't get those big calls. But again, it's a game-changing moment yet again.
I guess another just puzzling Nick Walsh one, because another example is Dyson Maeda had 8 fouls today and didn't get booked. I think that's a crazy number of fouls to get. Even for
on that, I wish we had a guy who done that. Like, I don't think that's obviously terrible refereeing. I get that, but it's such clever little niggly fouls that on their own they're never bookings, but the ref should, at least 4 or 5 think, right, this is a booking now. He's also not strong enough to do that booking, but we need that kind of arsehole in our team that's doing those wee fouls, kicking people, nudging people out the way, pulling them back. We have maybe Raskin who does that, but until we've got a team of guys who are willing to do those dark arts, we're not going to win these big games.
Yeah. We managed to make it to full time. It was a bit nervy in the last sort of 5 or 6 minutes or so as we went through. Celtic felt like they were just camped at the edge of our box, but made it through to extra time. Tommy, I just felt like we were dead on our feet at that point. I didn't feel like we had anything left in us, and it was just a case of trying to almost get through to penalties.
Yeah.
At that stage, conceding that goal so early and in the manner that we conceded it as well, didn't quite. Iain and I were kind of at the corner flag of Jack Butland's goal in that first half of extra time, but having watched it back just before I came on the podcast, it's a nightmare from Jack Butland again, and he's as much as he made a number of great saves today, he's sold the jerseys in the big moment there.
Yeah, I think that's what's annoying about Butland is we've had so many moments like that, shots that are going in that should be saved, or, just moments where he's given the ball away unnecessarily. And like, I thought he was brilliant today up until obviously that. And it's one of the ones when I'm watching it at first, I thought that must have deflected, the way that it went in. I was like, that must have took a nick off of somebody. And I think a minute before that, I think it was Mikey Moore clearing the ball out of the box with a header. I never thought I'd see that. Mikey Moore being the last line of defence. But then it falls to McGregor. I think, first of all, he's got kind of too much space, not closed down enough. But it's a weird one because he does strike it well, kind of maybe similar to Chermiti's at Kelly, but kind of like probably a better strike and a kind of higher on into the net. But it just misses it completely, doesn't it? It just kind of, I don't think the ball moves that much either for him to miss it. It should be a kind of tip over the bar save, quite a straightforward one. Like I say, if we did get that save, who knows? Like I say, we could have held on to maybe get penalties at that point. It's really hard to come back from that with the kind of legs issue. We're running a lot with 10 men at that point. So I think that was the moment that completely turned it.
Yeah, I think it was. And Iain, I felt at that point, as soon as we conceded that goal, I was like, I can't see us scoring again. That being said, 2 minutes later, Gassama's running through and goal. And he I think Schmeichel's saves it with his leg. But all in all, I just felt like our race was run at that point once that goal had gone in.
I think we all felt it, to be honest, because all game, especially the second half, our fans were incredible. Like singing the whole time, backing the players, getting the lifts there, keeping them going. But that goal, as much as it deflated the players, it obviously deflated us as well, because you just think, as you say, like, look at the state of I was going to say the 11, but the 10 that we've got in the pitch just now. Look at a midfield of Mikey Moore, Tav, and Ant-Man. Got Majovski up front not doing anything. It's just not a good team in that moment. And again, I touched on it.
I think they looked knackered as well.
They did. They did, but I think the individuals coming on kept making us weaker as well. And they had to come on because, like, people are saying, why is Raskin coming off? Raskin is knackered. He had to come off. I think. And on a yellow, of course. If we go to 9 minutes, it's absolute curtains. So I think it was the right thing to try and make some changes and change it up. But we're just not bringing any quality on. And again,
Iain, you said before the game that we had a really strong bench. So why is it that we're not? Why is it that the substitutes weren't impacting the game?
See, for me, I said right at the top of the show, I'd have put Gassama and Majovski in the starting 11, trying to kind of occupy defenders a bit more and be a threat running with the ball. So then my kind of backup thought was, well, at least if it's not working, those two can come on and try and impact things. They two obviously did come on and were probably, I was going to say worse, but maybe just as bad as the guys they replaced, kind of thing. But I need more from Ant-Man. I need more from Gassama. I was going to say Mikey Moore, but he was obviously the good one out of the rest of them. Rothwell again coming on. You need to be better. Like in the moments when you're on the ball, again, it's a hard shift, covering a lot of ground, getting in front of people's faces and trying to shut down spaces constantly with extra man. But when you do have the ball, be a threat with it. Look up, spot a pass. And I know I've not came to just yet, but that third goal that properly kills thing, it's Rothwell getting to the ball and just dallying on it a little bit. And you can't do that in Old Firm game.
We can talk about that.
Strong.
Strong enough on that. And then he just gets nudged off it and they push forward. And Cornelius is asleep as well and lets Callum Osmond across him. But it was just, I don't know, symptomatic of a team that was done, I think, to be honest.
Exactly. And again, I understand that they're done because it's a hard shift. We've spoken about it all show. It should have been 10v10 at certain stages. It's a massive pitch. It's a hard environment to keep yourself going in. But if Butland makes that save, if Rothwell doesn't dally in the ball, these little individual moments yet again have killed us. And you get so sick of saying the same stuff every week, but it's the same issues week to week.
Tommy, just to kind of round us off, 8 days ago, let's say, we kind of sat here and said, well, if Danny Rule can get 3 wins out of 3, it'll just change the atmosphere around the whole place. It'll change our season. It'll give us that real boost. He's won 2 of the 3, and arguably he got a decent result with 10 men today up until extra time. Has this last 7 or 8 days as a whole given you more confidence as a Rangers fan that he is the right man to take us forward? Maybe doesn't have the personnel in terms of players there at this moment in time, but he is the man to take us forward and to, one, improve our season as it stands, but 2, really drive us to where we want to get to.
Yeah, I think we're still in a position where we need better players, which is not necessarily on Danny Rule and what he's took over. He's definitely kind of made me feel a bit more positive in the fact that I predicted a win on Wednesday and I predicted a win today as well, which I would have never have done under Russell Martin. So first of all, like that has kind of got me thinking a bit more positive towards us. Today, I wouldn't say it's too much his fault, apart from maybe getting the initial lineup wrong. He can't do much about the red card decisions and whatnot and putting the ball in the back of the net. I think we've probably created enough to get a better result today. So still early doors. Like I say, the focus now, obviously out the League Cup, league games now, I think we've got Dundee away next, which will be probably a tricky one because they've beat Celtic away.
I think on paper we've actually got an okay run of fixtures. I say an okay run of fixtures, but
I've got it in front of me. I was going to say it myself.
Yeah.
It's Roma next, isn't it? Roma.
Ignoring Europe because I don't care about Europe anymore. It's Dundee, Livingston, Falkirk, Dundee United, Kilmarnock. That has to be 15 points.
Yep.
That's maybe harsh on Danny Rose saying how well it has to go, but that has to be 15 points out of 15. Literally no excuses. Probably 4 or 5 the poorest sides in the league, maybe with 1 or 2. You have to go and win those games now. Like again, I've touched on it. I don't care about Roma. I don't care about Braga. I'll go along on the night. I'll be cheering, of course I will, but have to win these league games and just get the motor running, kind of thing. Just kick on from here, please God.
I think at the end of that run, we'll kind of have a better idea about what we can expect maybe for the rest of the season. Because if we do come away from that run 15 points, see where we are in the league. Anybody else kind of drops, we might be closer. We'll have a better idea of how it's maybe going to look the rest of the season. But let's say Dundee away probably isn't an easy game, really. But any other season, you probably would say it is. Let's say they beat Celtic at home. They came to Ibrox early in the season and got a draw as well, albeit under Martin. It's probably going to be a tough test as well. Let's say, but every game in the SPFL now is, to be honest, the quality that we're at right now and the way that Celtic are at. Every game seems to be a struggle right now, and every other team seems to be improving, and we seem to be in a decline as well. So let's say if we can put a foothold on the next 5 games, come out with 15 points, then let's say I would really be positive about the rest of the season in terms of where we can get. I still believe that we can have a good season, even after today. I still think, and I might be crazy, but I think somehow we can still have a good season. I can see it happening.
I genuinely think we can have a good season as well. I think Danny Rule over the last 8 days has given me some optimism, reasons to be optimistic, and I think that's much more than can be said for any other time this season. So I think there are reasons to be optimistic in there. I think it's going to be really interesting if we can start motoring and put a run together in terms of league form as to where we are, because ultimately that Celtic team today doesn't scare me in the slightest, and actually I think a lot of teams will be able to take points off of them. I think teams will be able to take points off of us, but I think they'll be able to take points off of them. Hearts will be really interesting because they're just about reaching the same point of the season where Aberdeen last season started to hit a couple of speed bumps and they got their first defeat and things like that. So that'll be interesting. Even if Hearts' run continues up until the new year, if they get into the second half of the season and they're top of the league, that's uncharted territory. And we know, having been on both sides of it, whether it's the ones leading the way and feeling that pressure or the ones putting the pressure on, we know how difficult that can be and how much it can impact performances and results. So it'd be really interesting to see how those players and Derek McInnes handled that. But I think what we are doing is setting ourselves. We've got the opportunity here to set ourselves up over the next 5 games before we go into what's always a difficult Christmas period and difficult December. We've got those 5 games to try and get us get us going on a bit of a run. It will be punctured probably with some. Hopefully, it is 2 wins in Europe, but I'm not holding on to anything on that side of things. I'm not optimistic anyway. Just find a way to get a single point Rangers in Europe, and then we'll do that. Just don't end the Europa League with 0 points. But I think we've got reasons to be optimistic, and we could still be really. When you look at the point total between us and Hearts at the moment, it does look like an absolute chasm. But if you look at 5 points between us and Celtic, that's absolutely nothing. That can be two weekends that go in our favour, and it changes ultimately in a huge way. So I am really optimistic about that, and we'll leave the podcast there on that optimism. Just a quick shout out to Carol, who came up to myself and former podcaster Kyle before the game and told us how much she loved the podcast. So it's a shout out to Carol if she's listening. But thank you very much everyone for tuning in. It's been a difficult day, a lot of frustration, a lot of disappointment in the result, but also some reasons for optimism there as well, as we spoke about at the end. So if you've enjoyed the podcast, please do drop a like on the video. Please do subscribe. We're so close to 9,000 subscribers. I think we're roughly 40 away from 9,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed already, please do help us reach that milestone. It helps us out massively and means you don't miss out on any of the content we've got coming up. But thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Until next time.